How successful is your program with mast cell activation syndrome? I've been recently diagnosed and I'm trying to navigate my way through this. Right. The first thing to know about mast cell activation syndrome is that often these conditions overlap and yet we are given different diagnoses. So somebody who has chronic fatigue syndrome may actually have mast cell activation syndrome and vice versa. Somebody who has mold illness or chronic inflammatory response syndrome may have mast cell activation at the same time. So do we diagnose them as having mast cell activation syndrome or do we diagnose them as having mold illness, etc.? Mast cell activation is a description of the mediating process. Mold illness, chronic fatigue syndrome is a description of the illness based on the cluster of symptoms that somebody has. And therefore, there can be so many crossovers. Mast cell activation is simply describing the fact that aspects of our immune system are over-responding. And therefore, if you've had a diagnosis of that, it can sometimes feel like, oh, what does that mean? Why is this happening? Is there something organically wrong in my system that I can't change? And once again, we'd like to give you that encouragement that this is an issue of the function of the system versus the hardware of the system actually, going awry or being damaged in any way. It's a function. The mast cells are over-responding. And just like we train our brain to learn a musical instrument or to learn how to drive, the system just needs to be retrained. That's why we call it brain retraining. And therefore, even though it can feel scary to have a diagnosis of mast cell activation syndrome, actually, those systems can be retrained and your system can come back to baseline.